The smug look on Diana's face as she announced her big news at our family dinner made my blood boil. My mother-in-law had always been calculating, but this was a new low even for her. "I've sold Antonio's," she declared, lifting her wine glass in a mock toast. "Got quite a good price for it, too. $5 million. Not bad for a little Italian restaurant, wouldn't you say?" I'm Isabella Romano, 34, widow of Marco Romano, and until 5 minutes ago I thought I was still managing my late husband's beloved restaurant. The same restaurant his father Antonio had founded 40 years ago, the one Marco had poured his heart and soul into until cancer took him from us 8 months ago. The other family members around the table shifted uncomfortably. My sister-in-law Sofia avoided my eyes, while her husband Paul suddenly became very interested in his pasta. Only Diana's new husband, Richard, seemed pleased, his gold rings flashing as he reached for the wine bottle. "Mother," I said carefully, setting down my fork. "What exactly do you mean you've sold Antonio's?" Diana's perfectly lined lips curved into a condescending smile. "Exactly what I said, dear. As Marco's next of kin, naturally the restaurant passed to me. And since you've been struggling to maintain its standards, I decided it was time for a change." Casual way she dismissed my 2 years as manager, first helping Marco during his illness, then taking over completely after his death, made my hands shake. Under my management, Antonio's had not only maintained its Michelin star but had expanded to include a successful catering business. "I've already signed the papers," Diana continued, clearly enjoying herself. "The new owners take possession next week. Of course, if you want to stay on as a waitress." That's when I reached for my laptop bag. I'd brought it to show Sofia some new wedding cake designs for the catering business, but now it would serve a different purpose. "Actually, Diana," I said, opening my computer, "there's something you should see." She waved her hand dismissively. "If this is about your little improvements to the menu, they're hardly relevant now." "No," I replied, pulling up a document I'd hoped I'd never need to use. "This is about ownership. You see, Marco made some changes before he died. Changes he knew you wouldn't like." The smirk began to fade from Diana's face as I turned the laptop toward her. On the screen was a legal document dated 3 months before Marco's death. In clear, unambiguous language, it transferred full ownership of Antonio's Restaurant Group LLC to me. That's impossible," Diana sputtered, wine sloshing in her glass. "Marco would never." "Marco knew exactly what you were like," I cut her off. "He watched how you tried to interfere in every decision, how you criticized everything we did, how you kept pushing him to sell even when he was too sick to fight back. That's why he made sure you'd never get your hands on his father's legacy." The color drained from Diana's face as she read through the document. "This must be a forgery. Richard, you're a lawyer. Tell her this won't stand up." Richard adjusted his expensive tie, squinting at the screen. Is that Judge Martinez's signature as witness?" "Yes," I replied calmly. "Along with notarization and full legal registration. Would you like to see the state business records too? Or perhaps the letter Marco left explaining his decision?" Diana's carefully manicured nails drummed against the table as she struggled to maintain her composure. Why didn't you say anything when I started negotiating the sale?" Now it was my turn to smile. "Because I wanted to see how far you'd go, how much you'd reveal about yourself to everyone here." I gestured around the table. "Tell me, Diana, does your buyer know they're purchasing a restaurant you don't actually own?" "I'll contest this," she hissed, her facade finally cracking. "I'm his mother, his only living parent." "Contest away," I interrupted, pulling out another document. "But while you're at it, you might want to explain these to the court too." I placed a stack of papers on the table, bank statements, transfer records, and emails I'd been gathering for months. Interesting reading here. Like how you embezzled money from the restaurant while Marco was sick. How you forged his signature on loans. How you tried to sell kitchen equipment that wasn't yours to sell. Sofia gasped. Paul's fork clattered to his plate. Richard, the lawyer, suddenly looked very worried. You kept records? Diana's voice was barely a whisper. Of course I did. Marco taught me well. In business, he always said, trust your instincts but verify everything. And my instincts about you were right from the start. I stood up, gathering my things. Now, about that sale you illegally arranged. You have two choices. Either you call the buyers right now and tell them the truth, or I'll have my lawyer do it tomorrow, along with filing criminal charges for fraud and embezzlement. Diana's face had turned an interesting shade of gray. You wouldn't dare. I'm family. Family. I laughed bitterly. Family doesn't try to steal from each other. Family doesn't try to erase 40 years of heritage for a quick profit. You stopped being family the moment you started plotting against your own son. The silence around the table was deafening. Sofia was crying quietly, finally understanding the full extent of her mother's betrayal. Paul had his arm around her, his face a mask of disgust as he looked at his mother-in-law. I'll make the call, Diana finally said, her voice small and defeated. Good choice. Oh, and one more thing. I pulled out a final document. This is a restraining order. You're no longer welcome at Antonio's. Any of our properties, actually. Try to enter and you'll be arrested. Richard started to protest, but Diana silenced him with a look. She knew she was beaten. As I walked toward the door, I paused. You know what the saddest part is, Diana? Marco loved you. Even after everything you did, he loved you. He just loved his father's legacy more. And thank God he protected it from you. The aftermath of that dinner was exactly what you'd expect. Diana tried to fight the ownership transfer in court, but her own illegal actions came back to haunt her. The attempted fraudulent sale, the embezzlement, the forged signatures, it all came out in discovery. The judge was particularly unimpressed with her attempts to sell property she didn't own. Mrs. Peterson, he said, using her new married name, this court takes a very dim view of fraud. You're fortunate your daughter-in-law isn't pressing criminal charges. Diana's social standing, the thing she valued most, crumbled as the story spread through our tight-knit Italian-American community. Her country club friends stopped inviting her to events. Her bridge partners found excuses not to meet. Even Richard started distancing himself, worried about his law practice's reputation. Meanwhile, Antonio's continued to thrive. I expanded the catering business, opened a cooking school, and launched a line of signature sauces and pastas. Everything Marco and I had dreamed of doing together, I did in his memory. Sofia eventually came to work with me, managing the catering division. She needed time to process her mother's betrayal, but our relationship grew stronger through the crisis. Marco would be so proud of you, she told me one day. You protected everything he loved. A year after that fateful dinner, I received a letter from Diana. She was divorcing Richard, apparently he'd had his own financial secrets, and wanted to apologize, to make amends. She wrote about regret, about missing her grandchildren, about wanting to be part of the family again. I kept the letter but never replied. Some betrayals cut too deep for second chances. Instead, I focused on honoring Marco's legacy. Every morning when I unlock Antonio's doors, I think about the 3 generations of Romanos who made this place special. Antonio, who started it all, Marco, who modernized while keeping the traditions, and now me, carrying their dreams forward. The restaurant's walls are lined with photos telling our story. Antonio in his first tiny kitchen. Marco learning to make pasta at his father's side. Our wedding photo taken right here in the dining room. And now, new photos of the cooking school, the catering events, the product line, the future growing from the past. Diana's photo used to hang there too. I took it down the night of that dinner and never put it back. Some people, I've learned, don't deserve to be part of your story. One quiet evening, as I was closing up, an elderly couple stopped me. We've been coming here for 30 years, the woman said. Antonio used to make our anniversary dinner himself. Then Marco. Now you. It's still perfect, still feels like family. That's when I knew we'd won. Not just against Diana's schemes, but in the bigger fight, keeping alive the warmth, the tradition, the love that 3 generations had poured into this place. I think about Marco often, especially in quiet moments like this, about his courage in those final months, using his failing strength to protect his father's legacy, about his wisdom in seeing through his mother's facade, about his trust in me to carry it all forward. The legal documents that stopped Diana's schemes are framed in my office now, next to Marco's last letter to me. "My love," he wrote, "I know Mama will try something after I'm gone. She never understood that a restaurant isn't just a business, it's a heart, a home, a history. Protect it for me. Protect it for Papa. To make it everything we dreamed it could be." I did, Marco. I protected it all. And I like to think that somewhere you and Antonio are watching, raising a glass of Chianti, proud of the woman you trusted with your legacy. As for Diana, last I heard, she'd moved to Florida with what was left of her money. She sends Christmas cards that I don't open. Sometimes she drives past the restaurant, slowing down but never stopping. That's fine with me. She made her choices and now she has to live with them. The restaurant is packed every night now. We've added a second location across town with Sofia running it beautifully. Cooking school has a waiting list 6 months long. The sauce line is in stores across 3 states. But success isn't just about money or expansion. It's about the families who've been coming here for generations. The first dates that turn into proposals. The birthday celebrations and anniversary dinners. The laughing children learning to twirl spaghetti just like their parents did at the same tables. That's what Diana never understood. She saw dollar signs where she should have seen stories. She counted profits instead of memories. She thought she could sell a legacy as easily as she sold her soul. But some things can't be bought or sold. Some things can only be earned, protected, and passed down with love. Marco knew that. Antonio knew that. And now, every day, I work to prove myself worthy of the trust they placed in me. The restaurant's old sign still glows every night. Antonio's, where family means everything. Diana might have forgotten what those words meant, but I never will. Because real family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about sauce and souls and secrets passed down through generations of loving hands. And sometimes, just sometimes, it's about having the right documents ready when someone tries to steal your dreams. Every night before I leave, I touch the frame holding Antonio's first menu, just like Marco used to do. "We did it, love," I whisper. "We kept it all safe. We made it grow. And no one will ever take it away. 'Cause some victories aren't just about winning, they're about protecting what matters most." Diana thought she could erase 40 years of history with one fraudulent sale. Instead, she only succeeded in writing herself out of our story. And our story? Still being written, one plate of perfectly cooked pasta at a time. Just the way Antonio started it, Marco continued it, and I'll preserve it. Forever. That's the thing about legacies, they're not really about the past. They're about the future. About taking what was and building what could be. Diana never understood that. But I do. And every day I prove it. So here's to you, Marco and Antonio. Your dream is safe. Your legacy lives on. And the restaurant? It's exactly where it belongs, in the hands of someone who knows that some things are worth more than money. Someone who knows that Real family means everything. Someone who keeps the important documents close and the traditions closer. Someone who knows that the best revenge isn't just success, it's success that honors every dream that came before. And as I lock up each night, I smile at the stars and whisper, "Grazie, my love," for trusting me, for believing in me, for giving me the tools to protect everything you loved. 'Cause sometimes the best victories are the ones that keep your loved ones' dreams alive. And sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply carrying on, stronger and better than ever. Diana thought she could destroy a legacy with a signature. Instead, she only proved why she never deserved to be part of it in the first place. And me? I proved that love, trust, and a few well-placed legal documents can protect even the most precious dreams from those who would steal them. That's a lesson worth every penny of $5 million. And then some.